political governance would always consult some elements in society which have leanings on religion, whether we like it or not. Being a Catholic country, we're guided with provisions that there should be a separation of church and state. How then can you implement halal, which is basically religious in nature? No doubt about it, halal is Muslim issue based from the faith of every Muslim, and yet you try to implement such in a very conservative Catholic country, such as the Philippines. So inshallah, hopefully by 2010, this will be the cycle, the manifestations of halal in the country. Again, that is one of the paradigms Oma believed in. We practically believe that halal in the Philippines have four corners. We have Islam, science, practices, and finance. Islam, because whether we like it or not, again, the religious leaders will always have a say whether a product is halal or not, whether we like it or not. Number two, whether we like it or not, science is an integral part of halal. We are very impressed on the presentation from Thailand, and it showed us possibilities that the Philippines, through DOST, can adopt the recent trends in development in the scientific promotion of halal in the Philippines. Thirdly, we also have the practices. Then here comes what we call the religious leaders, and even what we call the pandita. Pandita basically are Muslim religious leaders who can be found in every Muslim community. They were not trained in Pakistan, they were not trained in Saudi Arabia, but they were able to get the support and respect of the Muslim communities. And they know how to slaughter chicken according to halal. And lastly, the finance. Don't forget that we have an Al-Amana Islamic Bank in the Philippines. Al-Amana Islamic Bank, the only bank in Southeast Asia that can receive gold as a deposit. That is being allowed because it follows what you call Islamic finance and banking. So with that, we provide Islam, science, practices, and finance. We have the perfect scenario of an halal theoretical framework with the Office on Muslim Affairs implementing it, of course with DOST and other agencies in the government. Now, how do we do in OMA? Those of you who would like, maybe would like to get some halal certificates, just a correction, the OMA does not certify products as halal. We do not intervene on the religious component of halal, but we intervene on the non-religious component. Other critics of OMA, they always say that the Supreme Court doctrine actually nullified OMA's intervention on halal. And yet, they fail to mention the second decision. The second decision states that, by implication, the government through OMA can intervene on the non-religious component. So if you can see, the processes involved: application, inspection, report writing, panel committee, halal certification monitoring. The five processes actually involve non-religious components. Inspection of premises. You need experts to do that. Audit, sample. You need, of course, the DOST's intervention in doing that. And monitoring is a work of the state, of the government. Now, as I said earlier, halal is very, very controversial. 5 years or more, we have been talking about harmonization, we have been talking about pushing halal and making the Philippines as the halal hub of Southeast Asia. Until now, we always go back to square one. Why so? Simply because of the following issues. You can never separate halal with Muslim issue. You cannot. It's only incidental that halal has trade elements. It's only incidental that you promote halal products as products representing a country. But halal basically is a Muslim issue. And you can never separate such. And as long as you approach halal as an objective, non-religious issue, you will always go back to square one. In other words, functionally speaking, the more you separate the Office on Muslim Affairs in halal promotion in the Philippines, you will never get the credibility and legitimacy. Number two, state intervention and legislation is important. That's precisely why the DOST, a state agency, has to intervene in the scientific component of halal. Why not private laboratories? Why not private research centers? Simply because DOST has the permanent nature being a state instrumentality. It has the will and the force and the mandate to intervene on matters pertaining to research centers and laboratory analysis. And regulation has always been a state function. Again, whether we like it or not. And lastly, entry to global market. Right now in the Philippines, you can find 50 halal certifying bodies. In Mindanao alone, I can now give you like 20 or 30 names of organizations or individuals conducting halal certifications. Out of the blue. In Quiapo, for example, I can give you 5 individuals that does halal certifications. The commonality of them is that the moment the products goes abroad, like in Dubai, the products will not be allowed entry into the Dubai market. 2 years ago, 6 companies in the Philippines have been denied entry in the Dubai market. Simply because their halal certificates are not authenticated and they cannot present any laboratory results. Nothing. Nothing. So maybe with that, the 3 factors, we have to reconcile them, unite them, and maybe come up with a credible halal in the Philippines. So with that, I hope I was able to bring some of your thoughts in this halal, and I will entertain some questions in the open forum. Maraming salamat.